watching on YouTube, you already see that I have a guest with me today. Everyone, let's please welcome Lauren.
Thank you so much for having
me.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Lauren.
Yeah.
Let's just get right into it. Who are you?
My name is Lauren Partch. I'm an actress, producer, and model in Chicago, Illinois.
Amazing.
Yes.
And we'll get into everything deeper, but I just start every episode asking the guests, what era are you in?
I love this. I'm in my main character era this
year.
year.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Wait, I never got that answer. I love that.
Yeah, that's the era I'm in this year.
That's
yeah.
so good.
Last year I was in a clarity era, and I feel like I got clarity, and this year it's main character energy only. So I'm really excited about it.
I love that. That is so fun.
Yes.
I feel like, I don't know why, something about this year, especially like even in media, pop culture, within my girl groups, like circles, everyone's just like, we're going all in this year.
I agree. I feel like the bet is all in. Can I ask what era you're in this year?
Yeah, I think I'm in, I would say, the issue with this is I feel like I love words that are deemed as negative in society as women. I like the baddie or the man eater or the villain era.
Villain era.
And I was in my man-eater era 2 years ago. I'm over that. I'm over that. I don't have time for that energy. Okay. So I feel like now I'm in my villain era, but for me.
Yes.
Not for someone else and not to prove myself. It's more for me to do all the things that I want to do for myself. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. So we're in two very similar eras.
That's why it was cute. Yours is just a nicer way of saying it.
Well, I've been in a villain era, so I totally understand that. But no, I think it's the same era. It's just you're doing it for you. It's not revenge. It's not to prove anyone wrong, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
And it feels good. It's a lot. I feel like I've got a lot of clarity from this journey also. So I've been excited to see where it takes me, and I feel like this past year and the feeling I have within me even the past few weeks, we're only filming a couple weeks into January, I already feel like I've had a different energy within myself that I can't explain yet, but I feel like it's gonna come more. I don't know. It's gonna come out more.
100%. I'm excited to see what we do this year.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for both of us.
Yeah,
it'll be fun to see. And we have so much time now, which is a blessing.
Yes,
right?
It's such a blessing. I love the beginning of the year energy. I know we were talking about that a little bit, but it just feels good. It feels like there's a lot of possibility this year.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for us. Let's just learn more about you. So. Yeah. Okay, first, what do you do, day-to-day basis? What do you do creatively? Then we can kind of go back.
Yes, absolutely. So I am an actress, and so I do have a day job. So I do work HR. That's my little sim character during the day. But then I'm a film actress, and so I do film. Haven't done TV yet. I'm excited to do that.
Yeah.
Commercial. I booked my very first commercial last year, which was really exciting.
Congrats.
Thank you. But a lot of auditioning. I coach other actors too, if that's something that they're looking for, and then I produce. And so last year we had been working. This is year 5, but we had been working on a feature film called My Little Renaissance Girl, and we had our first premiere in November. So that was a huge thing that I do on the side. And then that team is already working on another film. So a lot of times at night, it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of planning and putting that together.
Totally.
So that's usually what I'm doing creatively, but I love to run too. That's kind of an outlet for me too. I absolutely love to do that when it's warmer on the Lakeshore Trail, of course. But that's a huge outlet for me that I love to do.
Which makes sense. That's a healthy space, a healthy balance for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Well, can you talk a little bit? I know I saw the posts and I saw the premiere. I wasn't able to make it. I think I was out of town that week because I know my mom and some other Dream Team people were there and were in it. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the film?
Absolutely. So this was something my friend Amy wrote a few years ago, and it was about body dysmorphia and kind of the dark humor of, it's such a vulnerable topic, but I think a lot of us experience it, and I felt like we hadn't seen a lot of movies on screen that really portrayed it in a humorous, understanding way, and we're we didn't want to put Hollywood looking type actors on the screen. We want it to be us and our friend group and what we deal with. And so in the movie, Amy is struggling with every time she's having body dysmorphic thoughts, she sees herself as a Renaissance girl, like in her reflection. And it's because in her teen years, there was like a time in class where there was a Renaissance woman up there and they were like making fun of her and people are like, that looks like her. Aww. So it like stuck with her whole life. And so that's kind of where it came from. And kind of that when you're dealing with your own things internally, you almost kind of don't realize the impact it has on people around you. So maybe you're not being there for people as much. You're being mean to yourself, saying mean things about yourself. Well, then someone else is like, what do you, so there's a moment where her friends are like, then what do you think of me? Like, if that's what you're saying about you, then like, how, and she's like, it's not about you. So, and it kind of wraps up with like, you know, at the end of the day, your community is going to forgive you and loves you. And like, that's what's going to heal you. But I really liked the film because it's something I've dealt with. I think it's what a lot of people have dealt with. And it was more of like a dark humor way instead of so tragic.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool concept. I saw pictures and stuff, so I could picture like the Renaissance girl and everything.
Yes.
Well, that's a really unique like approach to kind of show a bigger message, 100%. Which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like such my favorite like era is like the Renaissance. My dream is to be in a period piece. So I like love that you got to live in that world for a little bit.
It was really cool. I love the Renaissance too. There's something like romantic about it. And so it was really fun. And it was so fulfilling to work on. Like the whole team was exciting. Some of our dear friends got to work on it. They're so talented. So that premiere was so special because it was kind of this celebration of, and I had never produced film before, so that was a completely different learning experience. Totally. I acted in it too, but it was cool being on the other side of it as well.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I've done both behind the scenes and like on camera stuff, and it's just like so fun just to be in any space where you're with all a bunch of like-minded people with the same goals, good energy, like all that stuff is like really special to be a part of.
I agree, and it's a team effort. Like you can't do it, one person can't do it alone. It was everyone on there, and you have such a different respect when you show up to set as an actor when you've been on the other side.
Totally.
You know,
oh my God, you can
really
see
do.
The whispers. You understand like, wait, this person's late. Now that affects everyone else. Like you just really have like you said, an appreciation.
100%.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
So I have a different perspective now when I'm on set. So I appreciate it.
No, that's important. That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, did you always do theater, acting? Like what was your thing as a kid?
Yeah, it started theater. Yeah. So I was a girl in DeKalb, Illinois, Corntown Catholic school, and we had just gotten a theater program, and I was like, I think I'll try out for it. It was called Dear Edwina, and I got the lead.
Oh my gosh.
And it was Edwina.
That's so cute.
And I had never done it before. I had loved movies like Moulin Rouge. I remember watching over and over, just all Grease, like all those kinds of things. And when I got that lead, I was like, I want to keep doing this. It was so fun. And so I continued through high school. I did the plays and theater. I did speech team, which I think helped a little bit too.
Totally.
And then I was going away to college. My degree was going to be psychology. It was the week before school, and I woke my mom up, and I was like, I think I want to pursue acting. And she was like, then you need to call him tomorrow morning and let's get it done. And so I did, and I auditioned, and I got into the acting program. So I did the double major, and that's when I was like, I want to do this as a career. Like, I want to have fun. So I think there was always something there with storytelling. School, I would always ask my teachers, like, I'd be like, could I make a movie for this project instead? You know, and they would let me, and they do it. And so I think it was always this creative piece of me that I just really loved and liked. And I think it wasn't until I was 18 that I was like, I want to pursue it. I want to do the thing, you know.
And you were able to like own it, and that's really nice that you had a supportive mom who like let you do that.
I'm really appreciative. Like they both have always been supportive, but I feel like my mom especially, she's just always been like, okay, then let's make it happen. You know, she's a woman's woman for sure.
That's important.
Yeah,
that's really helpful to grow up and not feel like you have to like hide parts of you or
100%.
Whatever. Like you can just they're supportive and everything.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so I'm thankful that night that she wasn't like, go to bed. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
thank gosh, right?
Yeah,
so is she out in DeKalb still?
Yeah, my parents are still in DeKalb, so they're like an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
So I get to see them a lot.
That's
and
good.
family is so important to me, so I like getting to see them a lot.
Yeah.
And they come in for everything, every show. So when I moved to Chicago afterwards, I did theater. I was in theater for a long time until like 2019. And they've come to every show. They've come to every premiere. And then when I did film, they've come to every premiere. They'll be like, can we watch? Where's your commercial? Where's your short film? So they're very supportive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They're probably so proud.
Yes.
That's super cute.
Yes. I'm very appreciative of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's really important to have that foundation too. It's like definitely a blessing to, like I said, to be like fully supported and like for them to maybe not understand fully like what being on set means and what production, post-production, what that stuff means, but just to know like she's doing her thing and like it's going to be good.
100%.
Is really important.
Yes. And I think throughout the years they finally maybe understand it more, but I can say that for a while I think they were like, what the heck is going on? You know, like what do you mean you're going to rehearsal for 4 hours every night? And I was like, I love this.
Yeah,
I
you
have
just
to
can't
do
explain it, right?
Yeah, you can't.
That's
so
really cute.
I'm really appreciative of them.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm really happy that worked. That's like been a good journey for you, and it's cute to always see like a lot of creatives. I feel like always have a bug in them at a young age, and it's just like when or where they're able to blossom with that thought or with that like hope to, you know, be on the screens or to be behind the scenes or whatever that looks like it for them.
I agree. There was always a bug there. There was always some creativity. So I'm just really grateful that I got that opportunity in middle school and that was a young enough age where you're coming into your own and kind of gaining your confidence. And I'm glad I did it then.
Totally.
And it wasn't later. So yeah.
And then you get some good reps in you.
100%. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So you know, being in the industry now, also working like a 9 to 5, how is that balancing for you? And like, how have you seen like your community around you? Like, how has that been helping you?
Yeah, I think two things there. I think balancing it in my 20s, it was a little bit more all or nothing. Okay. I was like, I am ready. I can't wait until the day I'm leaving this 9 to 5 behind. And like, I don't want to do, you know, I think now there's more balance of I'm like, this is a tool, right? And like, what better place to exert your acting skills than at a 9 to 5? That is a lot of it as well. But I think I view it as I'm grateful that I have a job that helps me fund my dreams and fund the things I want to do. And when the opportunity comes in the future where I can leave that, I'll be set. I'll feel financially stable and I'll feel good about it. It won't be so scary. My community around me, it's split. I have most people who do have a 9 to 5 and then act on the outside. I have other people who don't. Both inspire me. I think it just shows that like there's no one journey and my community is so supportive and support them back because they're just I mean it like the best people. I just always feel so lucky. And so it's just cool to watch everyone do their thing. The people who are serving and acting, the people who are doing like entrepreneurship and acting, the people who are at 9 to 5s acting, and they're all killing it. Like all of them are killing it. And so I learn a lot from that too, of just like, okay, those days I'm like, I don't want to go to this job or I just want to be on set all day today. It makes it that much more worthwhile when I am on set. And I learn a lot from my community in that way. So
that makes a lot of sense. I think there's a lot of grit and patience you have to have as like a creative, because like you said, everyone's journey is different, and people can, you know, peak at one age or another, and you just can't compare yourself to like everyone's space and where they are. And so it's nice that you are able to have lots of other like perspectives that also can give you more opportunity too.
100%. Yes. And like, what better way? It's like I do the same thing. I've had so many people in my community on set being like, you should consider Lauren, and I do the exact same thing. You know,
that's
it's
sweet.
like who you know and like bringing your community up with you. But I think that's the biggest thing, you can't compare. And this is a long game. I forget that sometimes. In my 20s, I was just so like, now I want to win my Oscar now. You know, like I was like, I'm ready. And I think now I have so much more of a respect of like, I don't think I'd have the opportunities I have today if all that had happened to me when I was 26. Now I like have amazing opportunities, an amazing agent. Like I'm so grateful for that. So it all is going to happen how it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
I also really believe in
Yeah.
that. I think for me, because I was in the industry since literally like a few months old. My mom had me like in beauty pageants, and then I got signed with all the agents in Chicago by one. So I was already on sets my whole life. I didn't realize in school why no one else. I thought that everyone does that. So like that's like how like naive I was, and it was a blessing to have that like life opportunity and life experience that I was learning outside the classroom. But then at a certain age, I think growing up, like I was, at having all the fun, and then by like 15, 16, I wanted to do full like high school social life, dance team, like that world. So then I was like, okay, how do I juggle both? And I ended up doing more of like this, the high school life, and I lost some of the acting, and then I got older, and I was like, Mom, why did you let me lose some of the act? Like, why did you let me stop for a couple years? Like, I was like almost like, you could have kept me going, and she's like, no, because you wouldn't have been able to carry it. Like, it would have been too much.
100%.
And I think I'm 24 now, and I think looking back, I'm like, oh my God, if I had the opportunity, then I wouldn't even know what to do with it. I would become a monster, or I would get those childhood stars with all their trauma. Like that could be so. That made me really understand the timeline and how I can say whatever I want, but like I wouldn't know until it's in front of me. And like, what do you do when you're 14 on a set and you don't even know like yourself yet? Do you know what I mean?
100%. And I'm grateful you had that life experience, right? Because like what better way to bring to set than knowing what it's like to be a high schooler, knowing what it's like to have friends, knowing what it's like to go through a friendship breakup, whatever, heartbreak, whatever it is. And you might not have had some of those experiences that you could even bring to set today if you hadn't. But I get that. I think when we're younger, it's that all or nothing mindset, I've dealt with that so many times too, but that's so interesting. I love that that's a piece of your story though.
I feel like I've learned it more the past couple years when I'm back into like piano and voice lessons and acting and just creating overall, especially post grad. So I think I've definitely been like, no, all my skills had led me here. Exactly. Like I was a communications and like PR marketing major. I'm using that every day. Like that, I'm here, right? Like she's using it right now. As we speak, I use that every single day. So I think like, again, if I didn't also like be curious about the other side of the industry, would I have gone into marketing? All this stuff kind of like can add up. I agree. And also growing up having friends who weren't in the industry kept me like normal. I agree. And it also having the friends that I meet as I'm older who only know me as like actor or creative industry Alyssa, keeps me inspired. So like it's having the balance.
You have to have that balance. I love that you say that because I'm just like coming to mind. I was like, oh yeah, I have two friends since kindergarten, Katie and Bianca, who I'm like, they just keep me so grounded because they're not in the industry. Totally. And then you're inspired by the ones who are. That balance, I think, is really important. Yeah. And
I think it's learning, especially if you were, I grew up in Chicago, you grew up nearby. So, like, being able to keep your friends as an adult and staying in the same space, but also growing in it is important. Like, I have friends who I met, post-grad or in-grad who are from other states. So they came here with just themselves. So, like, being able to create that community is super special, for sure.
It's so special. And, like, I just feel like I'm nothing without my community. Yeah. And so it means the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Well, I'm excited for the both of us. I'm glad that we've I feel like we both like learned a lot throughout. I'm very like reflective and like.
Same.
What's your zodiac sign?
Virgo. What's yours?
I'm a Pisces.
I think they get along.
Yeah. And I think because you're water.
Yeah.
I'm
water.
Earth. You're earth and I'm water. And I know earth and water like usually get along.
They go along
But
together,
I think that's also like the like reflective, the more like deeper side of things. Everything is like dramatic to me in some way.
100%. There's always a movie going on.
Yeah,
through my view, and
totally.
It sounds like yours too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's important to reflect, like, how do you grow and how do you stretch as a person if you don't, So I appreciate the reflection.
Yeah. It helps me throughout everything too. Yeah. And just continue to do better,
Yeah, I agree. Yes. It's like you're always just wanting to do better than you did before. I don't believe in a like you have to be better each time, but it's just like how can you grow at least? Yeah. And like try meaning like I just think like I don't want to always achieve this like this better version of Lauren, this better, but it's like how can I grow and just be that better version of me now? Yeah. Like not always like in the future in 5 years. Yeah. Like today, how can I be better?
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah. So like in the vein of obviously having a community around you and everything, growing up, did you always have people who understood what you were doing? Obviously, you had your family and your initial like besties you mentioned, but like throughout the journey, do you think did you go through things of losing people, losing friends, losing relationships, like because not everyone was on your same page?
100%. And I think it's not talked about enough.
Yeah.
I think there's some shame sometimes when you lose friends or go through friendship breakups because you think, is there something wrong with me? Or like, do people, like, I have such good friends that I think it's something, you never enter a friendship thinking you're going to lose them.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to say it. But yes, along the way, I still remember, especially in college, when we talked about when I was like, I'm going all in, I'm doing acting. So many people who were like, this is so silly. Like, what are you going to do? Like, be in Hollywood.
Yeah.
There was a lot of doubt. And I had to kind of push through that and believe in myself a little bit and find the people and stick with the people who believed in me.
Yeah.
And then there's people along the journey who've understood and who haven't. I've had people who aren't in the industry be more supportive sometimes than people who are. I think there's also, unfortunately, this underlying competition you run into sometimes in this industry, not all the time. But I think sometimes if you ever find out a friend is like low-key trying to compete with you or match you, like, those are things, like, friendships are supposed to feel good. Friendships are supposed to make you a better version of yourself. You're supposed to feel safe. You're supposed to have fun. And so I've had to walk away from things, even if it was painful and scary in the past, because if it's not feeling like that, you have to trust your gut and you have to surround yourself with people who believe in you and like you believe in them and they want you to succeed. And so I think I've dealt with some of those things in the past where could be as simple as a misunderstanding, as simple, and you have to be with community who can communicate. I think friends, you should be able to sit down and have hard conversations. And if you can't, like, how do you grow? As friends?
Or even the like walking on eggshells with friends.
Totally.
Like, I've been there. Like, that's like such an unsettling space to live in, and then you're just clogged mentally. Like, oh my god, like, how do I tell her like I don't want to go tonight because I have a show, like, or whatever. Like little things, like
totally.
Just those little things I think are red flags, and I think it's sad because me, especially like being a girl's girl and like all these things, like I don't like to think in red flags of other girls or other women around me. But like I'll look at a guy and be like, oh my god, this. So it's like how do I, like, how am I able to like still have like a fair judgment when I feel like something's not right? But if it was done to me by someone else or by someone who I didn't have the benefit of the doubt, or like you said, like a friend, a girlfriend who you've known for years or whatever that is, it's like, how do you give yourself like grace to also like feel those concerns, and
I think it is giving yourself grace, right? It's like knowing we're all human beings, everyone's trying their best at the end of the day. Always assume positive intent of the other person, but I think you have to give yourself grace for your own feelings, and I'm just such a believer in energy. So it's like if your gut is screaming at you that something's wrong, no matter how many years, or something probably is wrong.
Totally.
And it's taking that time to be like, does this align? Does this feel good? I'm not saying you have to cut somebody out or ghost anyone, but it's like maybe you move different. Maybe your energy is a little bit different with them, and you're giving your all to those people who just make you feel, have never made you doubt yourself, have never made you feel like that. But there's going to be conflict in friendship. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just, are you surrounded by people who are willing to work through that conflict with you, and you can be better on the other side?
And also people who are like gonna like fully like forgive,
100%.
Because I think I've had, even whether it's with a boy or with like friendships, it's like still holding that like angst. I'm like, that was 3 years ago,
right? Like I've forgotten about it.
I thought we were done, and it's like not fair now to me because I'm living life thinking we're chilling, and then you're here still like, well, this happened and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so like how it's like holding something against somebody. And I think that's hard again, because when you have history with someone, when you've been with someone, or a friend, or you've been with someone in your space for so long, it can forget because you're used to living life with them, whether it's a girlfriend or a guy or a guy friend, whatever. So I think getting older and like having longer friendships and seeing also I'll have friends who I've known since 5 who will meet a friend that I met 3 years ago and be like, wait, what, she was kind of like talking shit to you, like what do you mean, like who kind of notice those red flags and you don't realize because you're like, no, they're my girl.
And that's a huge one that you bring up. It's those people in your life who are like, I feel like these are like passive aggressive comments, like you said, I think they're kind of talking this, and it's like that, right, that loyalty that to be like, no, she's amazing, or he's amazing, you know, whatever it is. And then it's like you gotta kind of trust some people around you who have your best interest at heart, who might be pointing those things out. I think we can wear rose-colored glasses in relationships and friendships.
Totally. I think especially, unfortunately, like for girls, especially if you're in high school or college, or where like a lot of social pressures are on. It's easy when you're all growing and then one girl in high school is getting more attention, or one, or like whatever that looks like for you, like for whatever example you feel like that fits for you. I think being, you know, with the same people and then the same spaces, it's hard to realize like, wait, like this is not okay, like what she's been doing to me for a year, even though it's like fun and she's laughing at my, like with me, she might be actually laughing at me. Like what's going on, like, you know what I mean? And it's really hard to like gauge all of that.
It is hard to gauge, and I think too as women we can be unfortunately, I think it's just like society, it's like who we're like, we can be people pleasers too, right? So it's like we're kind of taught to be like, don't bring up conflict, like laugh along to your point, like it's gonna be okay, or like that's all right. And I think it's when you start listening to your inner voice of like, I don't accept that anymore, or like this is how I'm gonna move, your villain era, the main character like when you're like, this is how I'm gonna move, and this is what I'm gonna accept for my friendships and what I'm gonna bring to friendships. It's like, but it takes time. I think part of it is maturing, part of it is life experience, and part of it is having those friends in your life who show you what being a friend is, and a good friend. I think the more time, that's when you even just start to see as simple as like, who do I feel good around? And when I leave this interaction, do I feel like lit up and inspired and excited, or do I feel drained and like weird and confused?
Totally.
You know?
And I also think a few things. One, I think with other girls, whether you're in the industry or not, society pins girls against each other.
1,000%.
Whether it's a whisper from another guy or whatever you see on social media, like it's such an easy thing to get wrapped into. And if you're not aware of it, it's really easy for girls who maybe might feel like whatever they're feeling, an insecurity within themselves or whatever, like it's really easy to kind of feed into that energy.
Absolutely.
So as women, we have to make the choice every day of like, wait, that makes me feel weird, but like, I know I'm happy for her. Like, you know, like to be able to like choose the positives and to not conform to that, to what society wants, which is women to be against each other.
I completely agree. You have got to clap for the people around you. You've got to clap for other women you don't even know, right? Like that stuff is so important. It's free. And, and happy people are happy for other people. You know, too. That's something I've always learned. It's like if you feel good and confident in yourself, you're going to feel happy and confident for other people. You just would. You won't view them as competition.
And that goes back to also like everyone's journey is different.
Exactly.
And I have a lot of friends in the industry, and I'm like, you look nothing like me, like to my friend, like they would never be my same role. So like why would someone be mad or jealous if I get a role or if someone else gets a role that they weren't even up for? Do you know what I mean? Like I think
100%.
That's easy to catch. Like you said, it's hard in the industry with some type of like low-key competitiveness.
Of course.
But I think it's again like within yourself, if you trust your journey is meant for you, like that wasn't meant for you, so why would you want that role?
Right. And same way that when somebody else gets something that you're like, you know, even if I had gone for this makes sense that they got it, and you just got to clap and be like, good for you, good for me. So it's just like good for her and good for me. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah. I think that stuff is so important. I think in this, you know, I think back to college even, I think it starts early, I think, in the industry. Like you said, you obviously were in it even earlier. Which that's fascinating of maybe like what your perspective was of that competition. You were in competitions.
I was.
Where they were literally setting it up to be like, this person is the best and nobody else is, or whatever. But I feel like in college too, that's kind of how they pinned us too. It was I just look back at those things. So it's like, you've really got to grow thick skin, which I don't even like that phrase, but thick skin is in like I'm confident in who I am and what I bring to the table. And I think it's an abundance mindset too.
Totally.
Just like there's plenty for all of us.
Yeah.
Like if this wasn't meant for me, I can't wait for the next thing.
Yeah, and what is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I always just applaud my mom because I never felt insecure or not wanted or rejected, even though I was rejected like every day. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think I'm the oldest of 3, and I think I was given a lot of love at home, which was such a blessing, and so I always felt important. And then when I was a big sister, I'm important, I'm needed. Do you know what I mean? So I always felt like I had a purpose. And then when I would go to auditions and gigs, I don't know how I was always the girls to like befriend the other girls, to befriend the competition, and I would get girls be like, I can't talk to you. Like I would get like the cattiness of like a 12-year-old being like, well, no, we're not friends, we're against each other. And I was like, okay, but like when we leave, it's all game. Like when we leave, we're not like so. But like I just always had that, and I think I saw my mom always be by around a lot of like women and lots of laughs and love, and I think I had that like luxury of seeing, you know, positive female figures in my life.
Yes.
So I think that always made me think like this is a safe space when I'm with other girls, when I'm at a beauty pageant, when I'm going against other girls in a casting call or whatever that looks like. And I just think that there's a lot, I don't know, I have to ask her more like what she did that maybe I didn't remember, of like how she kept me feeling good still. Yeah. But I think she always was just like, it wasn't meant for you. Like, that's okay. Like, just kind of instilling that at a young age. So as an adult now, I'm like, no, like if it was not mine, I don't want it, you know?
Absolutely. Well, and in the example that's being set, right? Like we were very gracious to have that. I understand not everyone gets that growing up, but it sounds like your mom was in the room, like, and that is Vilma. It's very, like, I'm making friends with everyone.
Yeah, totally.
My mom was the exact same way. She was always so inclusive, was always teaching, like, if you see someone, like, include these people.
Totally.
I always watched her just effortlessly, and it was like I always feel like with my mom, her goal is to like have fun, like anywhere we are. And I just feel like watching that, then you get that example. That, to your point, you're like, even if this is a competition or even if I'm in the audition room, I'd love to talk to someone. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I think it's like taking the work seriously, not taking yourself seriously.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. That's a good one. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And kind of on the same topic, but not like in terms of like people pleasing. Obviously, as women, we were kind of told to do that since like the beginning of time.
100%.
But what do you think also like how that can affect you throughout growing up in the industry, at work, like any industry you're in?
Absolutely.
It's kind of a thing where women are supposed to like be down for anything or like not speak up or to not ask questions. So what has your experience been with that?
Yeah, recovering people pleaser for sure. That's why we're in main character era this year. Yeah. I think I was a people pleaser and I didn't know it. Like that's almost what was more terrifying, right? But you don't know.
Yeah, that's what's very common, especially nowadays.
Yes. Big advocate for therapy. I think everyone should be working on themselves, and I think that's when I love my therapist. She's the best, but like she was very like every situation I bring up, she's like, that's people pleasing. And I had always looked at people pleasing as being like a doormat, like really saying yes to anything, and I didn't do that. Yeah. But I think, again, in my 20s, there's more FOMO, right? There's more, I don't want to be left out. Totally. There's more, what are other people doing? And I was always a very independent person. I was an only child. So I always was like, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. So I think because I had that identity, I never viewed myself that way. Because I was like, I'm blazing the trail. I'm doing what I want to do. Yeah. But I think what it was coming down to was, okay, if I got home after work and I really needed to rest or I really needed to take time for me, but someone was like, can you help me? I would always say yes. Yeah. If I needed to do these things for myself, I was always saying, like, what can I do for other people? And I really wasn't putting myself first. And so it was interesting because then I felt like when I started putting myself first, it was back in like, I guess this was 2017. I did an academy program through Black Box. And it was this academy program every night from 6 to 9 p.m. So I was going to work from 9 to 5, 6 to 9, and it was 100 days. So, and I loved it. Yeah. And it was the first time I almost like had an excuse to tell people no. Totally. Because I was like, I'm all invested. I'm doing my thing. So that was the first time I was like, oh, I understand. Like, I can completely be all in on myself and tell people no and then be there for them when I can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when I started learning that lesson, it was interesting because, again, it kind of goes back to the friendship stuff, but you watch people move different. Because I watch the people be like, I'm so glad you're putting yourself first and doing these things you love. And you watch the other people that were like, you usually always came over when I asked, or you usually almost did that. And then that's when I was like, okay, so now I also understand that, like, it kind of brings out in your life who's using you a little bit and who's actually, like, there for you.
Yeah. One thing I learned, and I think I learned this mostly post-grad, and this is going to sound negative, but it's a positive, is like the low-maintenance friends.
Yes.
And not meaning like, oh, you don't need to like look at them, but like I have friends who I text every single day, but I see them once every 3 months because of how busy we are.
Yes.
And we never have to explain ourselves.
No.
They're the girls since 5. Like, it's a lot easier. They get me. They know my lifestyle. They saw me growing up like this. But even like the friends I met even in college or high school, like when you connect with those people, like you don't need to explain yourself. If you're tired, I'm literally so tired. I had the craziest day at work. I just need to sleep in. Yeah. Like, okay, dope. Sleep in. I'll see you next week. Like, that I think is such a blessing that I've learned, thankfully, at a young age. And obviously, I in college, I was definitely like more of a people pleaser. I did a lot of things to make sure everyone else was comfortable and felt good, and then I was overworking myself.
Yes.
But I think getting out of college, not living on campus like I did, and like having more opportunity post-grad for other avenues and other groups of friends or whatever. And I also noticed, like, if I wanted to do a night out and I have 4 friends asking to hang out, let's all hang out together. Like, we don't need to make this, like, if we can only meet one day this month, like, why don't we all just do a big group night out, and it's girls night out, like, it's fun, we can have our moment. And again, like, I've been very lucky to have so many friends who don't necessarily like get what I'm doing every day, but get what I'm doing is important to me and is special to me and is exciting and is different. So they're going to be down. They're going to support it. And I have friends who are like, I could never do what you do, but like, go off. I will be here. I will cheerlead you on. I'll show up to your events when you need me to. But like, I'm not going to be able to get the day-to-day conversations, and that's fine. 100%. You know, like being open and honest because they're secure within themselves. They don't feel threatened by me. They don't feel concerned. What am I doing? Why am I answering? Whatever. So I think that's been a big blessing that I've learned that also has kind of helped me with the people getting better at people pleasing.
100%. And I love that example. Yeah, because it's true. It's just like we literally have one life. Like, it's so cliche, but it's just like you have to put yourself first. Like, I actually think putting yourself first benefits the people around you because you inspire them by totally going after what you want in the way that you want to. And then to your point, you can show up more fully for people when you're doing that because you're filled and you're joyful. Like, we're of course going to be there for other people, and that's a given, I would think. But it's like, I think as women sometimes I for some reason had the subliminal, and my mom didn't do this, it's not like that was even an example, but it's like you're just subliminally like, to be needed is to be loved or something like that, when it's just like, no, like, to pour into yourself and fulfill yourself and your dreams lets you love and be there for other people.
And I think that is what thankfully we're like talking about more is the alternative way of looking at that. But since the beginning of time, it is a thing of like, you're a mom, so what the moms do is they feed the kids, everyone's happy because they're fed. So now you're getting love because you just fed your kid and he's, oh, thanks mommy, like whatever. So like, it's that instant validation. And it's like not realizing like, you're a mom, but you're also a sister and maybe your wife and a daughter and a friend, like
maybe
your other
things.
Like your other things. You're also a worker, or you're doing other things outside of just mom. And mom is a basic term for how you can describe how society puts that pressure on women. If you're not a mom, you have to be a mom soon. Like, you know, all those pressures, which you don't have to be. Everyone's journey is different, like we talked about. Everyone can do their own path. You don't have to follow your friend or your sister or what your parents did. Like, you can totally do your own thing, and you also don't have to explain it to anybody.
I think that's the biggest thing with people pleasing. It's not explaining, right? It's like, how do you just say no and you don't provide any excuse or any explanation? Or how do you go after what you want and you don't have to justify it or provide an explanation? I think that's a piece of it.
And I also think Or how can you say no and tell the truth? No, I can't. I'm literally tired.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and that's enough. Though.
Yeah,
that's enough.
Yeah, and I think for me, even sometimes to this day, depending on the person, if I feel like I'm still not sure where they stand, I'll be like, no, I have this event later tonight. And I need to I need to finish work before or whatever. Like I still give like a long excuse, but it's like, no, I have an event. Thank you. Like I'll see you next week. Yeah. Or like, no, I have to be up at 5 a.m. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Instead of the whole like, no, I actually have this tonight, this tomorrow. Like like all like if you overdo it, it's like okay. Like you're like it's not that serious.
Yeah, it's not that serious at all. It's just standing in your truth, and it has to be enough. And I think pushing through those uncomfortable feelings, I think it is uncomfortable once you start speaking your truth. Yeah, putting up some boundaries, I think, is a huge thing, because it's not to control other people. It's just to tell other people how to interact with you. You know, and I agree. I like the truth. It's just like saying that truth. I think I always think of like a younger version of myself, and I think I was always so scared to like hurt someone's feelings. I didn't want to disappoint anybody. Totally. And now I'm like, I don't want to disappoint myself. Yeah. And
that's more than enough. And it's 100%. Also the people who around you care like will not ask differently of you. No. They would agree with you.
No. In the same way I won't ask for them.
And I also think with that note, like if we're we're preaching this, but we also assuming like understanding. When I have friends who try to give an excuse, I'm like, girl, literally just say no. Like you don't have to tell me anything. It's not personal. Like not at all. You gotta go. Like I think also like kind of practicing that in the reverse. Yes. Being the receiver. Yes. Of like, hey, you don't need to tell me your whole weekend. Like I trust you. Like if you don't, you can't come. You can't come.
Yes. Give your friends grace. Yeah. Give your friends grace, because we're asking for grace in the same way. Yes. Yeah. And those people you love, it's always like it's truly not personal. Yeah. Like you said, 100%. It never is. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's there's so much, but I think it's good to have that community that can like help kind of guide you and support you throughout all of that.
Yeah, I agree.
But so a little like changing of a little bit of off topic, but not. What do you think? Obviously, we learned a lot about you today. What do you think are what's like a good piece of advice that you felt like you wanted to hear while you were, juggling the 9 to 5, juggling the arts, juggling friends and family and relationships?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's such a good question. I think when I was juggling everything, I wish someone was just there to be like, you are literally doing the best that you can, and what you're doing is enough. Yeah. Like you're doing so much and going after what you want, and like that is enough. I think it's like you don't have to do more. Yeah. You don't have to keep doing more. Like I think sometimes it's that comparison thing. So it's just like your journey is good. You are enough, and you don't need to keep outdoing yourself. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's hard, especially like you said, when you're in the zone, like as a creative too, it's easy to have tunnel vision.
100%.
You see the end goal. Okay, what do I have to do to get there? If it's a 9 to 5, then if it's grinding from 6 to midnight, like I'm gonna do it. But it's like, okay, you also need to give yourself the space to like take a shower, to eat. Like, are you eating 3 meals? To go on a run, or to go on a jog, to see friends, and to have your spirits lifted too. To sleep the 6 to 8 hours or whatever that looks like for you. Yeah. I think that can get lost in the shuffle. Because when your goals are so exciting and so big, it's easy to lose yourself in them. But then you're like, wait, the point is like the goals are for me. So I'm not my best self. How am I going to do all these things?
And that's such a good point. You're like, wait, I'm doing this for myself.
Yeah. Right? Why am I deteriorating? Exactly. Also, simultaneously. Yeah.
Yes. I think then to that point, that's such a good point. It's like the second piece of advice would be like rest. Like you need to take care of yourself. Yeah. You need to do things that bring you joy and like that fill up your cup. Yeah. This isn't everything. Your 9 to 5 isn't everything. Acting isn't everything. Like totally. You are you at the end of the day. Yeah. So like that's what matters, and then you can bring that to the work.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have a girlfriend who will literally text me and be like, girl, I haven't heard from you all day. Please go to the bathroom. Take a bathroom break. Like, are you well? Like, what's going on? Yes. Or she'll be like, girlfriend, this is like your 3rd event this week. Like, please, like, give yourself a day off.
100%.
And I'm like, I don't have one until next week. And it's like, okay, well, then that next day, do not make a plan. Like, you're resting.
Yes, you need those people to kind of like hold up the mirror a little bit. Yeah. And be like, you're killing it. I love it. Make sure to take time for yourself. Yeah, because
it's so easy. I almost feel like, fuck, like, now how do I tell her I'm literally not I'm literally busy till 2 weeks from today? Like,
exactly.
And then you almost feel like reflective, like, wait, I need to find a day to chill.
Exactly. It is that reminder. It's like, we're not robot. Like, you cannot keep going and going on fumes. Like, even if it's just an afternoon, if it's 4 hours, and you're just getting to like doom scroll or watch a favorite show or just couch rock for 2 hours, it makes such a difference.
Absolutely. I know it's been a lot rough. Last month especially was super like manic for me between the holidays, the industry kind of wrapping up for the year. So I was going crazy, and she's like, "Girl, I haven't seen you in like a month. Like, are you well?"
And you're like, "No, but I'm gonna carry."
But like,
on.
I'm also like having fun, I guess.
Exactly.
But it's like, the in betweens are manic, but like when I'm there, it's fun. You know? But you just keep going, and I think that it's nice to have that like respect and understanding too from people around you.
100%. You need those people who will give you a little dose of tough love. Like, I know you're gonna burn out in like 2 days. Literally. My husband does that a lot too. He's really good at that. Or he'll be like, we've been going for like 3 weeks. I'm like, because then I have something else, and I'm so excited. And he's like, you need to find a day that you don't do a thing. And so sometimes I'm like, all right, because that's not my default.
It's not at all for me.
No,
either.
So it feels weird.
I feel like the like productivity anxiety.
I
feel like I'm not doing enough, and then I'll tell this girl specifically, because she's the most like girl like about me and like my schedule, and she's like, "Girl, you're not doing enough. I can't imagine you at your max. Like, I'm terrified."
Right? Isn't that funny when you're like, and it's like if you hit a goal and everyone's like, "Aren't you so proud?" And I'm like, "But I was supposed to do that, and now I just need to go on to the next thing." They're like, "What the heck is going on?" Yes, but I think it's just that drive and that passion, and again, I think it's kind of that maturing piece where you're like, I can achieve these big things. I can be busy. I can do these things, but like, I need to put into myself too, and I need to slow down. It's a long game.
Totally.
It's a long game. I don't want to burn out before I can't do this anymore.
Absolutely. Especially when you start it so young.
100%. You too.
I guess.
Look at this child actor.
I know, just child stars. No.
It's crazy.
It's fun though. It's it's hard to get it out. Once you're in that space, it's you're like running on that adrenaline of like the good vibes, the good energy,
100%.
the fun people, the new ideas. So it's hard to be grounded sometimes.
It is. You're just so and when you get the inspiration, it's almost like, I don't want to lose this. Do you ever feel that?
Totally.
Like, you're like, I have to act on this or I'm going to lose this. But it's like, why don't I write this down? Tell someone about this idea and I could come back to it in a day, It's kind of finding those grounding moments with those ideas.
Absolutely. Okay, so to kind of wrap things up a bit more, what are some future goals or plans you have? Obviously you're in your main character era, so what else do you have coming up in 2025 that you want to share?
I have 2 big goals this year. I want to book another commercial. I want to book a lead in a feature film.
Amazing.
Very excited about that. But another goal that I have is I'm writing a short film, and so that is something that I'm really excited about, and so I'm hoping that's something that can be produced and filmed next year, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I think this year too, what I'm looking forward to the most, like a big goal that I have, is kind of slowing down just a little bit of like being fast and vicious with my acting and my goals. But I think LP life, like just enjoying and like touching the grass a little bit more this year, and I'm really excited about that.
That's super on brand for our whole episode. Just what we've been talking about, like needing a minute sometimes. But I think that I think you can find that balance, like you said, if you're already feeling like you're knowing how to say no, you're knowing how to prioritize yourself, you're knowing how to balance life easier. I think now's a good time to be able to also slow down, but also I think it might be slowing down to you, but to someone else it's like a normal day. But I think I understand like needing to tell yourself like slow down, because you don't know how else to say it.
Absolutely. And like being intentional, right? Like an intentional year with my time. Time is so precious. And so I really want to spend it this year doing the things I love and doing the things I want to do. I really don't want to spend time this year doing anything I feel obliged to do. I don't want to do. And so I'm looking forward to that.
And that's such a good space to be in. And I do believe in like manifesting and energy. So if you're saying it to the people around you, you're saying it on here, I believe that that's going to come into fruition without you even realizing. Which is exciting.
I love manifestation. So I'm with you. We just manifested.
We did. It's a whole episode. Well, I'm excited for you, and I hope obviously I'll watch your journey through social media and whatnot, but I hope to keep in touch too, like outside of that, and help support like throughout our projects and stuff.
Absolutely. We're forever bound to this.
Yeah,
So
now once we're in it, it's hard to, you're in my little podcast community.
Yes.
So, and then my favorite question to ask every guest is, what is something you would tell 16-year-old Lauren?
Oh,
If you could see her right now.
I love 16-year-old Lauren.
Aww.
And what I would tell her is, get rid of the boy. He doesn't matter. And focus on yourself, girl. Focus on yourself and your dreams. Like that, if I could, I just love her so much. But she was just so enamored with like being in a relationship.
Yeah.
But I think, and just that like she's enough. I know I probably said this earlier, but it's like, oh, she was just such a like, I just love her, and I would tell her like, you are enough. Focus on you, and like focus on what you want. Like, don't worry about a relationship right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest, like, if I look back at my episodes with guests, a lot of them are like, just please don't lose focus.
Yes.
Because those I say 16 because 16 is like a crazy year. Like, you just don't get it yet.
No.
Even at 19, 20, I'm seeing, I worked in a university for a year or so post-grad, and I'm seeing these 18-year-olds like coming to class with like a full face of makeup and like little tight clothes. I'm like, it's literally cold, like put your jacket on. I know. And I'm watching them and I'm like, oh my god, that was literally me. I was going to class as like a fashion show, not to like truly be like in my zone, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think, obviously I'm 24, but I already feel like at this age, seeing a 20-year-old or 21-year-old, I'm like, oh my god, please, do not take the extra shot because everyone else is forcing you to. Like, you don't need to.
Yes,
this
like,
is not gonna matter in 10 years. Like, please, just like go home. Like, you're gonna feel like shit tomorrow.
Yeah,
like,
go home. That would be another. Just go home.
Literally, just go home and like
Yes.
regroup, because I think it's such a beautiful age, but it's such a vulnerable age.
It's so vulnerable, and she just cared so much what other people thought. And I just look at her and I'm like, but you had it all and it was good. So like, yes, I just, for her to just focus on her, it's like, that's what was important. And it's a vulnerable age, but yeah, 16, there's something so magical about it. I don't know what it is, but
it's like the turning of age. It's the beginning
it really
of
is.
who you become as an adult, and it's the prime years that shape how you look at life, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's exciting. It's sweet though.
And this is probably aging me, but back then it was my super sweet 16. It was like a huge show.
I know, that was a big deal.
That's
the
deal.
age for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so my friend Katie Johnson and we had our own like my super sweet 16. Like we had a joint because we're both Virgos, and so like she lives on this beautiful property, and we had like this big party. So I always think of that too.
That's
that
so
it was
cute.
just, but that was like my favorite show when I was 16.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's like, oh my god, I'm officially becoming a grown up. Like you just don't even realize like how like sacred those years are still.
Yeah, you really don't.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I really appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
I just adore her. I adore that version of myself.
And that's a beautiful thing to like still have love for yourself and
100%.
not be like, why did you do this? Why did you do that?
No.
It's like, no, she was just on the struggle
She
bus.
needed a hug.
She was trying.
She needed a hug. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any like last minute thoughts, questions, things you want to touch on before we wrap up?
No, I think I just want to thank you so much. It was just so fun talking about all of this. And I think all I could really say is just like to anyone listening, it's like, do not give up. Yeah. It's a long road. It's a long journey. And like, don't stop betting on yourself. Like that would be my biggest thing. Like, do not stop betting on yourself. Even if others aren't believing in you, you don't believe in you, like it's going to be worth it. And those things are going to pay off. So just keep at it.
I love that. Thank you so much. Do you want to plug your Instagram or social media?
Sure. I have an Instagram. It's Lauren_Rosemary_. And then if you are interested in following My Little Renaissance Girl, that on Instagram is just My Little Renaissance Girl, and give us a follow. We have some events coming up. And then my website is laurenrosemaryparch.com too, where you can follow some fun updates there.
Cute. And you send me this privately and I can post it for you as well, like in the notes and stuff.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Well,
great.
Thanks so much for being here,
Yes,
Lauren.
thank you for having me. Take your hand.
I love it.
Today.
Yes, thank you. This has been so great.
This has been really fun.
And to everyone listening, thank you for being here. We love and support you as well. And please, 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 you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, repost, tell your friends, tell the girls, tell the boys. Lots of love. And I cannot wait to see you when we are on to the next episode next week. Bye.